and look at other leadership that has been there for long in the parliament. Look up. The cabinet reshuffle that took place, the cabinet appointment, not the reshuffle, because the term had ended. Not many people are acquainted with the various ministries. And I can tell you, the pre-ethical examination board loves it. And be very careful in the book that we shall have on Wednesday, the class that is with us, you'll find these things put in there. Be very careful. The most critical ministries you must look at is one where Kadaga has gone. It was not as smooth as a transfer. Kadaga put up a resistance that the president himself had the occasion to supervise at Kololo to ensure that Jacob Olanya became the speaker. It is unprecedented in the NRM's regime. Never heard of. There was everything at play. The president says by his own name, he said, I made calls and I called my cadres. You can tell how much interest he had in it. When Kadaga was told, but you have served your 10 years, behave. He says, but you see, how about those who have become presidents for so long? Why did you tell them as well? She had also learned to personalize. She also thought she had killed the animal and she had the right to give an apportion shares. She did not know she was operating on a very tough. And you know, at the end of the day, the oracle prevailed. So very interesting. She is now not even the vice president. She is now not even the prime minister. She is the first deputy prime minister and the minister for minister for East African Affairs. So be very careful. They know you should know it, and it is contagious. Whether she's happy or not, that's a discussion for you and me, for another day, for your relatives and everybody else. The question is that she's not the speaker now. So around Kadaga lies so many things for pre-entry examinations. They also want to talk about the parliament, the Kadaga Rebecca Alitwala Parliamentary Leadership Institute. You know that institute? She instituted an institute to train members of parliament. According to her, they were cagey. They could not handle matters well as regards debate, which was an embarrassment for the nation. So as the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, way back, she instituted and brought the idea of it when Second was doing his last term. When she became a full speaker, she brought it on board. And Cecilia Wall raised the motion and said, why don't we all be so good to the only woman who has ever become a Speaker of Parliament? But most importantly, who has seen reason in training members of Parliament to be articulate and eloquent in debate? And let's name this school after her. Kadaga did not object. She nodded in silence. And indeed the Parliament said, okay, let's call it Alitwala Rebecca Kadaga Parliamentary Leadership Institute. She had the power when she left recently. What happened? Member of Parliament called who? A call from FDC, that's Clark North, moved the motion to scrap the name Kadaga and retain the institute, by the way. Without a debate, it was passed. So my dear, drums are beaten for a dancer who is on stage. That is what happened to her. And how is the institute called today? The Parliamentary Leadership Institute. Be very careful and look for it. So around Kadaga, there are so many things to be said about by the pre-entry. Okay? Okay? Hey, don't be miserable. I am not having the Kenya approach because this requires explanation. Otherwise, we would have used the other approach and we are different in the way we approach issues. So be very careful around that. But also look at these ministries, and they are critical. Find out where Kasule Lumumba has been taken. She was the Secretary General. The Secretary General is the organizer of the party. In the olden times, the second most powerful in the arrangement of the party organization. There's no discussion. Let's forget about what happened. Now she's appointed. She was removed from being a Secretary General. The president has the powers anyway. And now, She's the only minister in the office of the Prime Minister in charge of general duties. You know what that means? You ask your daddy. Ask any other political commentator. She's quiet there. So it will be interesting to find out where she is. Okay? Okay? Those are critical issues that you must be able to discuss. Then two, be mindful about what has happened to Joyce Bagala. Where? In Michana. That's critical. Because what does she do? Turns and turns around the tables. Turn and twist the tables. Of President Museveni, most loved girl. When all the ministers were butchered and slain in Uganda, because not returned. When President Museveni came up to speak and address, he cried out and he said in his tone, and even never come. No. She's the only minister that received this sympathy. When he was commenting, Nabakoba had been beaten by Joyce Bagala, and just yesterday we are told that the victory has been overturned. Very critical for you. I know the other examination of 2018, where even the question that came 3 days into the examinations, an event was gathered in the question. An event of 3 days in the examination was found there. Tricky. So you must never remove your foot from the gas pan. The gas, your foot must remain on the gas pan. Because at the last hour, so many things can take place. That's the critical ministry. Then of course, you may be able to find out where the chief whip of NRM, the former, the woman member of parliament for Chiboga district, Ruth Nankabina, was put. She was a big shot. The chief whip of the state of government is a serious person. So what happened to her? Who beat her in Chiboga? And where is she now? Of course, from a chief whip, she's now a minister for energy. Not so? Yes. So you must be able to appreciate Ruth Nankabina and where she is. Those are critical ministries right now in this ongoing aspects. Parliamentary issues. Find out where Mpunga Matthias Nsamba is a member of parliament of. Don't only mind about his being a leader of opposition, because that is obvious. That is obvious. He is in Masakasiti, but which particular constituency? How is the constituency called? There are two people there, Abedi Bwanika, with the Kabone Ruchimanya. What about for Matthias Mpuga? It's no longer Masaka municipality, it's now called what? Be very careful. How is it called today? Everybody knows that you know that Matthias Mpuga is a member of parliament, a leader of the opposition. But what about the constituency he represents? Do you know it? So you must be able to do justice to it. There are two constituencies there that resemble. The one for Abedi Bwanika, that's Kabonde Ruchimanya, and then the one for Matthias Mpuga. They divided the city. So now where Matthias Mpuga is a member of parliament, hopefully by the end of the discussion, I should be able to tell you. So those are critical issues that you must be able to discuss as far as ministries are concerned. Of course, the Vice President, Jessica Lupo, know which constituency she represents. Katakwe women, okay? Kadaga, the one that was asked, they asked for her constituency. A woman representative, Kamuli district. Kamuli district. I heard a song saying, Jinja municipality. And there are many answers. She's a member of parliament for Kamuli district, a woman member of parliament for Kamuli district. And she's been there since CA. We would have expected Kadaga, having mastered all the political clout she has, to have gone for a directly elected position and left some of those small positions for affirmative action, such that you bring up some other girls also. But she has kept there and she's not about to release it. 89! Up to date. It's amazing. So know it. Okay? Okay? Good. Through this national body, Uganda recently threatened to withdraw from the International Coffee Association, citing unfavorable terms to her coffee. Our body that caters for farmers that grow coffee in Uganda is called the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. USDA, Uganda Coffee Development Authority. So I remember the first chairperson of this association, this body was called Ernest Kakwano. And there was a lot of controversy. I was a very little boy. A New Vision had Ernest Kakwano and the government. And I read the book by Xavier on the plight of Ernest Kakwano again, and I now discovered they could now link up. Little boy in primary, Ernest Kakwano today. He said, okay, fine. But the body that supervises and organizes coffee in the country is called the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Recently, Uganda wrote to the International Coffee Association about the unfavorable treatment it has received from the International Coffee Association. And actually, we withdrew for a moment their participation in the association. Why Uganda, despite being the biggest and one of the biggest suppliers of coffee to the international market, our particular Robusta coffee has been singled out as being and substandard. Amazing. For all that long, how many bags of coffee do we send out? 4 million bags, per annum, or 400 million, I don't know. Somebody should question it. We still remain one of the biggest suppliers of coffee. But there's an argument, and there's the way it's configured. The argument is that our coffee, especially Robusta coffee, does not suit international standards. And Uganda has complained it and said, but for how long? How does this come about? But you know, that is it. Now they are saying that possibly if Uganda can only up its game in the growing of Arabica, maybe it can do well. But our strength has been Robusta. Nonetheless, we grow Arabica in the Bugessurans. But then, those are the issues that we have. So our complaint was registered by our national body, the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Learn out the rest of the bodies also. They will help you. I do not know whether we still have a cotton body. It used to be the lead marketing board in the olden times. I don't know how it's called today. There's even no coffee almost. I've moved in the up country and the ginaries are all down. I see Indians running around with the sacks. And what used to be national enterprises are now run by individuals and sold to people. And areas like Buketi that grew a lot of cotton have gone into abeyance. And that was a livelihood of the people. Today you don't see it, it's non-existent. But there used to be coffee marketing board. Now it's called the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. So things are going changing and changing and changing. And some for the better, and others I'll tell you out of the top for the very worst. For the very worst. So it's called Nyege Nyege. It's called what? Nyege Nyege. That is the event. There is no country that boasts the boss of the biggest carnivals than Brazil. It's a form of employment where people have the tendency to dress in the most unusual manner, appear in the street for a given period of time, drink and eat, and participate in all the most. It's the time in the livelihood when even the most awkward activities become so real and good. And so there they are. The carnival. We've had some instances here. Uganda said, okay, we have had street carnivals and they have not caught up. Uganda went for a big one and they put it at the source of the Nile. And I tell you, the guys that marketed that thing were smart. 2-3 years ago, apart from COVID, I would say Spaniards coming. People are working for Nyege Nyege. And it is hot. Very, very hot. So it is a blueprint of a mirror of the president coming in Uganda. It was, I think, the best. People who are tempted, who have attempted to market our country, why don't they identify these Nyege Nyege boys and find out what exactly they did? Maybe it is easier to market some of these very insidious activities. Is it that there is evil in each of us? That's why they are getting received. I don't know. So Nyege Nyege is the event. Don't forget that Jinja is now a city. Jinja is now a city. Next, the abbreviation that grounds the need to appreciate and therefore buy Ugandan goods and products as opposed to two important ones is boo-boo. I'm looking for abbreviation. I'm not looking for your. It's writing in full. You're talking abbreviation, qualifying statement in every question. Qualify your answer. Take time. People say, buy Uganda, build Uganda. That is wrong. They're asking for their abbreviation. And the abbreviation is boo-boo. Of course, for purpose of explanation, we can say this: buy Uganda, build Uganda. That is I think, what Amelia Chambadi, as a Minister of Trade and Industry, will be remembered for. It is an idea that was brewed in Kenya. They also have their, is it called kuku or something of the sort? So it was easy for us also to play with ours, you know. If it is the Federation of International Football Association, Uganda simply changes the I and puts U. Federation of Uganda Football Association. If it is the International Olympic Committee, Uganda simply says that's easy. Let's remove I and put U, Uganda Olympics Committee. If it is, so we are there. But otherwise, ours is a boo-boo. I think it is a kuku or something of the sort. It began from Kenya. It began from Kenya. Amelia Chambadi, as the Minister of Trade and Industry, said, we can pick this up. Are we doing that? Are we doing that? Maybe we'll have to see whether that is done. But of course, that's proportionate to what we invest as a nation. If our nation is hell-bent at importation, then what do you expect? The next is, he becomes the latest African laureate. Give the full name. Now, this is it. A laureate is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I mean, a Nobel Prize winner, not peace, sorry. Because the Nobel laureates are awarded according to what specialty you have excelled in. It can be peace, it can be literary art, like literature, it can be medicine, it can be chemistry, it can be physics, it can be, and they have kept awarding. Have we come to the final Nobel laureate? Not yet. The latest they gave was for, I think, physics. They're still going on. Because then there will be the final winner, totality. So, a laureate is somebody who has won a Nobel Prize. The inception of a prize to appreciate an individual for an outstanding activity, a group of individuals, was first hatched in Sweden. Arthur Nobel, the founder of this prize. And that's why it's called Nobel Prize in Stockholm. And usually the committee sits in Stockholm and decides by assessing what individuals are there, as a list of names that have been taken each. And then they go through the names and then eventually do the validation. Be very careful. In Africa, how many people have won? I am going to count for you. 1. Wole Soyinka. Okay, W-O-L-E. That's Wole. Soyinka is S-O-Y-I-N-K-A. For those of you that have done literature, you know the Romeo, the Lion and the Jewel. You must have seen Kongi's Harvest. You must have seen a series of poems, the Trials of Brother Jero, the Jero Metamorphosis. That's Wole Soyinka. It is regarded Africa's Shakespeare. Okay, when you talk, who is Africa's Shakespeare in literary art? Wole Soyinka. He's a Yoruba. The Yoruba is the biggest tribe in Nigeria, seconded by the Igbo and then the Hausa. So in that order, actually the biggest tribe you have in Africa. Can you imagine a situation where one country produces Africa's 3 biggest tribes? You know, then of course we have the Amara, then the Oromo in Ethiopia. Then we can add a few others, possibly in the rest of Africa. So, Wole Soyinka, that's number 1. Number 2, Abdul Razak Guna. Abdul is A-B-U-D-U-L. Now, don't create a gap between Razak and Abdul. It's one name, Abdul Razak. R, a small r, A, Z, double A, K. Abdurazak Gurna. Gurna is G, now that's a different name. G-U-R-N-A. Sometimes they add their H at the end. G-U-R-N-A-H. Abdurazak Gurna. So many ways of having to spell it. I don't know if your book gives you something different, but that's the BBC spelling for his name. He is a Tanzanian-born writer, but specifically from the islands of Zanzibar. He is the latest African to have won a Nobel Prize in literature. Okay? That's the latest we have. Account of the fact that he was able to quickly establish a relationship between Eritrea and his country, Ethiopia, that had been ablaze for 27 years. Asmara would not see Addis Ababa. And just in 6 months of his leadership, that was done. These are two countries that are sister by every nature. And so they decided to divide on the account of their own differences. But they have relatives staying on the other hand, like South and North Korea. So for the first time, those people who had lost their relatives for 27 years would be able to cross on the side of the border to see and say hi to them. And so that was what worked out for Ahmed Abiy. Something is not right at the moment, you know. We shall be seeing it in the last question on the Prime Minister Ahmed Abiy. Then the other one is Professor Wangari Maathai. Wangari Maathai. W-A-N-G-A-R-I. Maathai is M-A-T-H-A-I. Wangari Maathai. She died. This is about some 5 years ago. You'll be able to correct me. She was given a Nobel laureate, as a Nobel laureate, because of her fight in the preservation of the environment. It was very, very important for her. Then she died of cancer, she had abdominal complications, and eventually she passed on. Wangari Maathai, Africa's Nobel laureates. The other one, of course, two joint winners, Nelson Mandela and then Frederick de Klerk. Nelson Mandela and then Frederick de Klerk. Nelson Mandela and Frederick de Klerk. Or de Klerk is D-E, then the dash, the gap, and then Klerk, C-L-E-R-K. Of course, Mandela, you all know how to spell Mandela. I was trying to pronounce 1990, and eventually became the president in 1994. Therefore, the international community felt that, of course, it would have been possible for South Africa to gain her liberty without de Klerk. Despite being the leader of apartheid, his rule was not like Peter Botha. He softened slightly, allowing sober discussions to take and bring sobriety on the table. For that, the international community felt that we cannot only award Nelson Mandela and leave his colleague, because he played a strong role in this. And so the two became the joint Nobel laureates on the account of peace and the end of apartheid in South Africa. De Klerk is a Boer, but he's an African. So he's also counted as an African Nobel laureate. Okay? Good. So the last one, if you can remind me another, is a gentleman called a Bishop of Natal, the Bishop of Cape Town, celebrated Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu. It's the right to apply for bail. Okay? And then it is a granting. So I think he thinks that the other way of having to cure the problem sometimes is to hold a huge hammer and hit it hard, such that the problem completely dies forever. There's a lot of debate about this. Is the president overhanded? Is it being real? Is it realistic? You know, if you want to know what it means by bail, and someone uses veil of doctor's amendments, you can ask Grace Bigira. If you also want to appreciate and understand what this means, you may ask Mama Mbabazi with the bomb girl, the issue of having to hold you for a time as far as the state is concerned. Let's begin and Mama best explain what this means. But also, you could also be able to believe that the president has reason. Yes, there is reason. What if tomorrow you moved out of here and the guy who attacked your father in the garden to death is part of the guys that are drinking in Malwa in the village? What does he want to do? I don't think two wrongs make one right. There must be a sober discussion on this, lest we lose the point. What about the president's wishes? Do the president's wishes necessarily become the interest of the country? Right? So it must be caucused. It should never be one man's thinking. It should be everybody's caucusing around. So I think what we can do as a nation is to be sober. We are yet to hear the word from the people of the court, but they have already made their mind. They say, you see, judge bail is a discretion of the judge. The judge can tell whether to give some of the bail or not. So the president says it's a hail-mary that they show that it must be amended. We've already seen some of the amendments, and cabinet has passed and okayed. So it's supposed to go to parliament for discussion. The country is watching. The country is watching. Next time. The name this South African retail giant recently closed the shop, citing unfavorable business in Uganda of COVID-19 effects. Which business enterprise has bought it? Carrefour. Carrefour is C-A-R-R-E. C-A-R-R-E. Then the word for itself, don't pause it up. For is F-O-U-R. It's a French company. Carrefour. It's what? Carrefour. So it's Shoprite, which has closed the shop. It's a South African retail giant. So Carrefour has it now. The name of the West African who became Uganda's first Commissioner General of the tax body URA is Edward Labishu. Edward Labishu. You will cross-check it with yourself. Labi, L-A-R-B-I, then Shu is dash S-H-A-W, Labishu. Cross-check the spelling so well with Edward Labishu. So that was, we had no expertise in taxation in Uganda and how to collect taxes. So we needed to establish a formidable boss. And our base had to be found. So we had to go out for expertise. And Ghana had actually actualized the best practices and best ways of having to collect the taxes. So having nobody here who was good at it, we went for Edward Labishu. Why? There is also a man who calls Alanga. But then the question is, Labishu actualized the formation of Uganda Revenue Authority as opposed to any other person else. So it is Edward Labishu, a Ghanaian, whom we hired to establish and make the formalities and the best practices for Uganda Revenue Authority. I remember Labishu was there for over 7 years or something of the sort. And he went away. So you must be careful. How many years did the Revenue Authority mark last time? 25? 25? 20. There was an occasion in Colombo where they invited the president. And the president bashed them a lot. So this 25 or 20 years. So that's very important. As Uganda marked its 59 years of independence on the 9th of October in East Africa, a confederation, this nation is the oldest of all as regards that. It's Tanzania. Tanzania is the oldest as regards independence in the East African Confederation. That is which year? 9th December? So by 9th December this year we're making 60 years of independence. I had an office by a year. And Kenya got it in 63. But remember that we have other countries that are now part of East Africa. We have Burundi, we have Rwanda. I think South Sudan is also part, and DRC is threatening to join. If all you saw, sign. A-B-O. C-A-B-O. Delgado is D-E-L-G-A-D-O. Cabo Delgado. This is the town where tourist cells have had their effective motivation one disease until Rwanda recently went there. There are of course issues about Rwanda and its engagement in Cabo Delgado. But Rwanda is there as we speak. It has been able to pacify the area, quote unquote, and bring peace to it in Mozambique. The terrorists have taken over Mozambique and Mozambique has become part of the engagement, almost like Afghanistan in the days of the Taliban, especially Al-Qaeda and Kandahar. The other one, it is this organization that Uganda's largest constitutional political party shunned, citing its inability to address opposition government issues, grievances against the ruling government. Yeah, the NUP shunned iPod. Okay, it shunned iPod, IPO. So you may find it also and for they say no, it was not be able. It was a joint of tea-takers. Today, Uganda's government thinks that this engagement shall focus bring to an end the poverty in rural areas to its knees. It is the parish model development system. How is it called? The parish development model. It's called that? The parish development model. That is the system that the government thinks shall eventually have a solution to poverty areas. Remember that the government has had so many of them, very many, and has been doing all forms of names. NAP 1, NAP 2, NAP 3, NOSAF, Bonabagagale, Bonabali. There's so many of these organizations. The whole aim was again to ensure that poverty is eradicated. So you have to know the government says, no, we are giving money for each parish. It's the parish development model. Government thinks that this is the program that will bring more sanity to the country. Today, Uganda's government thinks that, name the sub-region in the country where a girl child costs a paltry 20,000 shillings, according to Minister Esther Nyakunu, Karamoja. When you go to Karamoja, Esther Nyakunu is the Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness. She said she posed as a buyer, just like Sarah Opedi. Was it not Banja Sarah Opedi? Posed as a patient at Naguru Hospital, only to be extorted the money by medics. So Esther Nyakunu, the Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness, goes to Karamoja and she poses as a buyer of children. And she said, "Brother, you can give us 20,000 shillings and you take her." This is an admission by the minister. Okay? 20,000 shillings and you get a girl child in Karamoja. Remember, they are being trafficked to Kanla. There's child trafficking going on around the porous borders of Uganda and Kenya, especially around that corridor between Karamoja and the Turkana land. Was visibly seen in our shelves. Oh, it was Lato milk. It was Lato milk. So the rest were being explained technically, but this one was the one that was there. You could see it. Uganda had Lato milk in place of milk. Makerere University is in the stages of honoring this once respected African leader with a full leadership institute. Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. As you walk like this, you live and sit there. Makerere University wishes to establish a school for Julius Nyerere in the memory of his contribution towards leadership in the African style, the Ujama policy. Okay? But remember, the faith collapsed, the natural death. And actually part of the reason why Julius Nyerere resigned is that the Ujama failed to catch up. Not so? And said, guys, let somebody else try. But of course, we are also struggling as the Catholic Church to make him a saint. Has he reached the level of beatification in the Catholic Church? They are pushing before COVID now 2 years, every time his family used to come to Namugongo because his name is being forwarded for sainthood. So before we realize there will be a Saint Julius Nyerere. One of the few politicians in the life history of Africa to become a saint if he became one. Amazing. Very fast we're going away. Mention 2 Ugandan hospitals that were recently promoted to the status of regional referral hospitals. That's Kayunga Hospital and Yumbe Hospital. They are now regional referral hospitals. Kayunga Hospital and Yumbe Hospital. Now in it, she must be talking about Soroti Hospital, the hospital that successfully was able to operate senior streams. Remember, Mulago had sent them back to die. Soroti brought them. Senior streams are joining it. It's called joining. Soroti brought them to our national referral, expecting the very best from Mulago. Then Mulago said, take them back. Essentially, Mulago had said, let them go and die. Dr. Podoi and his group of doctors sat down in that rural hospital with all the few minutes they had. They successfully carried out a serious operation in the country. And Dr. Podoi was going to Parliament and honored. People said, make him the permanent secretary of Ministry of Health. We're waiting to see. And they said, let's make Surrey Hospital a center of excellence. It was words, we're waiting to see whether that will be very possible. So don't forget Dr. Podoi and then Surrey Hospital. And towards the very end, in Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition stalwart Raila Odinga floated the idea of referendum to chart a new leadership dispensation in the country, but it failed following a rejection by the courts. What name was given to the arrangement to use? The BBI, the Building Bridges Initiative. Building Bridges Initiative, BBI. Building Bridges Initiative, the BBI. Kenya is East Africa's biggest economy and the most powerful brother. So when Kenya loses her sleep, we stay awake. We can't afford to sleep. So whatever takes place there is also very powerful. They have politicians who have managed to, effect changes, and they are very dynamic, serious guys that have been there for time. Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, Charity Gelu, Mothalia Mnavadi, Moses Wetengula, talk about Gideon himself. Of course, he may be younger, but he's been in the trenches of politics in Kenya. Talk about Kalonzo Musyoka. Talk about the Sultan of Mombasa, Ali Hassan Joho. Talk about Senior Counsel James Orengo. Talk about these guys, crowded politicians, crowded day in, day out. And you must find out how much you can deal in school of law. Deal in school of law. Look at Damali. And somebody was just telling you, you can't afford to sit for examinations in Makerere University without knowing these guys. You're going there. Okay? And then towards the very end, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia has an uphill task of ensuring that this region of his country is settled. Otherwise, it's the worst humanitarian crisis at the moment, according to the UN, the Tigray region. Tigray, T-I-G-R-A-Y. Tigray, the Tigray region. The capital city of Tigray is called Makerere. M-A-K-E-L-L-E. Makerere. I would speak about this for a long time. I would speak until I was at home, but I must leave. I have the last question. But briefly, you know what happened in Tigray region? The problems Ahmed Abiy is facing as a result of that. Now the last one is named what's this? The Malian president who was recently ousted from power through a military coup, Alpha Conde. Alpha Conde. Ladies and gentlemen, if I have anything I've left out and I've erred, it is not because it's my intention. It's because I'm only human. If there's a mismatch I've made, you can cross-check. But in this booklet, in that chart, press it. If there's anything, if there's anything I've left out, then you can be able to appreciate that it's only human. I have tried my best to ensure I redirect the course of action towards examinations. In this pamphlet, there is a series of other things inside, having objectives and set in the same manner, but providing alternatives for you. Those alternatives are supposed to tickle you to understand. They explain the rationality around the same thing. So please ensure that you look into them. I am humbled to have stood before you. I'm Xavier. We have a group. My number is 0702 44 zeros. 0702 44 zeros or 0778 64 81 52. Thank you very much. If you want to see me, I'm out for about 15 minutes. Thank you.
Xavier, look, we are so humbled to have you today. I admit it has been a very profitable. Somebody has a question to you. Yes. Does any of you have questions?
Or if they ask a question for personality and they are interested in the full name, and I happen to give only one name, will I get it? Certainly that will not have been the name of the personality. So I will tell you one thing, chances are very high that you don't get it. They are always that very serious. If there are two, and I remember only three, and the two are commonly used, perfect. But if the three appear so regularly on the individual, they must all appear. Listen carefully. The former vice president of this country is Gilbert Bali Baseka Bukenya. But the names that are common is Gilbert Bukenya. I can tell you, if you did that, you'll get it right. Bali Baseka will just get an addition to it. But if the names regularly appear about that personality, they want the full existence of the personality. Okay? Okay? The Nobel Peace Prize. I say, unless you have something else, as far as my records are concerned, is Professor Wangari Maathai of Kenya. Professor Wangari Maathai. And she won it because of her involvement in the environment protection. She died about 3-4 years ago.
Alpha Conde was the president of Guinea, not Mali.
Oh, Guinea. Oh, my head keeps twisting off. So we can actually get back to Mali and find out, because you see, the coups have taken place between Chad, Idris Deby, Alpha Conde, and then some other gentleman in Mali. That can be corrected. I'm sorry.
I'm very sure Mr. Xavier has exhausted almost everything. But before we call it a day, we have, help me, please, walk Mr. Xavier. Thank you very much. There he goes. The man full of knowledge, full of wisdom, and full of information. Thank you very much, Mr. Xavier. I'm about to introduce to you a very wonderful educationist, somebody who has been in adult education for quite a long time. He's a psychologist by training, and he has been training pre-entrance from the very start of the program. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Moses Nye.
Good morning. The morning fine? You are not answering. How is the morning? Oh, you are now alert. Thank you very much for coming. I know it has been a very hectic day. You spent all the day trying to make up something for the day to come. Thank you very much. Now here, I'm here today to talk to you a few things about the same. That's pre-entry. I know all of you are preparing for the same. Thank you very much. However, the whole thing, the whole journey is very technical and very tactical. So you must approach the whole thing with a lot of tactics. I know you've done a lot, you've gone through so many things in this seminar. What haven't you gone through? I am